And I think in the beginning, it's absolutely essential that the students have a system. Mm-hmm. It doesn't, I don't care what system, but it must be a system, so they can at least have an idea of one way. And later, when that way is more or less helping, then it's possible to compare. But I also agree that the system has to include the basics. There's a set, like the babies, you know, if they don't crawl, they don't walk too good. And so if we start the people off with running, there's a neurological deficit develop. Yeah, and this is a serious problem. Serious problem.
Maybe it's not a question but a remark, and maybe we find out a question out of this.
Right.
Because for me it was very impressive that you said you are always setting the field with any kind of question.
Yes.
So that you always narrow the issue or the field to answer. That was for me a very serious thing, because I always like to train my students that they should be open with her kind of questioning. But that's always a problem, that you are always setting something.
Yeah.
Just in the moment you are questioning. And so maybe it should be the best only to ask in the beginning something, or not even to ask, maybe more tell me something. Without any
direction.
narrowing.
Yes, right. And so I have to say that this particular way in which I'm doing it, I have been practicing for a long time. So I can't remember how long. No, we just give some figure, 15 years, something, 20. Yeah? That I went to a lecture. Actually, it was Jeremy Sher, who was on the organon. And he said, Hahnemann said, not to interrupt the patient. And for some reason, that was the only thing I remembered. I thought, oh, I'm going to try this. Yeah? And before, I was a really quite aggressive questioner. Yeah, you see, I would, oh, you have allergies? Okay, tell me about the allergies. Where's the allergy? Which side? Yeah, so I thought, okay, I changed my technique, and in the beginning, it was very clumsy. You know, the person would come in, and I'd say something like, talk to me. And then I'm just completely like this. And one day, probably not so long after, some woman, she jumped up and she ran out of the room. And I realized, I thought, you've gone too far. You know, this is not the way. And so slowly over time, I'm sort of looking for ways to keep contact, but yet not give such a strong direction. And how shall I say? A part of there's many factors which come into this. Yeah. So this was the first one, was Hahnemann's idea. I thought, well, sounds right. And another was I sort of made a commitment, in a way, that I would see what could be seen and hear what could be heard. And that's what I was going to use. Like that was it. And the third factor was the computer and the repertory. Because I could use the repertory when I'm looking at the patient. So I could, yes, that I could keep my attention, I could look at the book, but still the person was there. But when I started to use the computer, I found that it wasn't possible. That the computer took all my attention. And if I looked at the computer, the person was gone. And so I thought, okay, close the computer. But no, I don't know how to use the repertory anymore. I only know how to use the computer. But I closed it, and so then it's just me and the person. And at the end I open the computer if I need to. But this all, so then I'm really stuck. Yes? Because there's a person and me, and I have to see what I can see and hear what I can hear. And the other part of that is I say, whatever you need to know, it's there. Yeah? And all this comes into the idea that I'm going to make it possible for them to tell their story. And their story which I don't know. And, as I said, a little bit their story which they don't know. Yes? You see, this is, say, if I don't know, and they don't know, what question am I going to ask? It's a bit like that. But this is, I will say, I'm not saying, oh, this is the way to do it. It's just particular to me, how and I think if there's something to be understood from that, is just what you said. Every gesture, every question is an intervention. That's it. And so if you want to make interventions, you have to have some feeling for what you're doing. You don't just make surgical cuts. Oh, well, let's cut there. And afterward there's cut, 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 cut.
It's totally open.
Yeah, yes. So if one looks at it that way, then the question, not that one shouldn't ask a question or not, but that there's, how shall I say? Yeah, it's an intervention. One's entering into the field actively. See, and then we come with the idea of suggestion. And the hypnosis, and the fact that the people are coming, they want to give me what I need. And as soon as I'm saying, I need this, then that's what they're going to give me. All this is part of my reasoning for a way.
But it needs a very, very deep connecting with the patient.
Yes.
And then we came into the theme of the morning. What?
Right.
Yeah, on which level you are connecting? On the mind level, or on
Right.
the body level, or on
Yes.
a feeling level? And I think it's very important to know that the body and the feeling belongs together. That you pointed out also very deeply this morning.
Yes.
And so the feeling belongs also to breathing. That's what you know.
Right.
And so it's